Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular. Could have given Councillor Anderson an award for that. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular business meeting for the District of Squamish for Tuesday, October 18th. Hatsqualawin, Queesaluktamuk, that's Squamish, Okameo. We're privileged tonight to be doing our work on the traditional unceded territory of Squamish Nation. Motion to adopt the agenda. By Councillor French, seconded by Councillor Stoner. Any opposed? Motion carries. We do not have any delegations, petitions, or proclamations this evening. Consideration of unscheduled public attendance. This would be anyone participating online or at Municipal Hall who feels they have an issue that cannot wait a few weeks until the next regularly scheduled business meeting. Seeing no one, we do not have any public hearings this evening, nor timed items. Which moves us on to our consent agenda. So council, if there's anything on the consent agenda to which you find yourself in conflict or which you'd like pulled, now is the time to do that. Councillor Stoner?
I have a conflict from the regular business meeting of October 4th, I believe.
All right. Would someone like to move the remainder of the consent agenda? Moved by Councillor Herford, second by Councillor Anderson. Any opposed? Motion carries. Councillor Stoner will deal with that towards the end. Okay, we have under item 8 some recommendations from Committee of the Whole from October 11th. That Council received the 2022 Community Amenity Contribution Policy Review Update report from Community Planning as presented on October 11th, Committee of the Whole for information. Moved by Councillor Herford, seconded by Councillor Race. Any opposed? Motion carries. That the District of Squamish received the Squamish Employment Space Principles report for information. Moved by Councillor Pettengill, seconded by Councillor French. Any opposed? Motion carries. That Council endorse the Zero Waste Action Plan 2022 to 2027 and support the targets and priority areas as presented by the Sustainability Department to the Committee of the Whole on October 11th. Moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Race. Any opposed? Motion carries. That Council received the Akatsum House Sound Biosphere Region Nchulmoth Unity Plan discussion paper for information. Moved by Councillor French, seconded by Councillor Stoner. Any opposed? Motion carries. Oh, I forgot to second that. You were moving all of the that's. The second that was that Council endorses the House Sound Biosphere Region Initiative Society's draft MOU as presented at the October 11th Committee of the Whole. That Council accept the Heritage Management Strategy Engagement Summary as presented on October 11th. Moved by Councillor Pettengill, seconded by Councillor French. Any opposed? Motion carries. That the District of Squamish adopts Squamish Fire Rescue's 5-year plan from 2022 to 2026. Moved by Councillor French, seconded by Councillor Herford. Any opposed? Motion carries. And that the District of Squamish authorize the mayor and the corporate officer to execute the annual operating agreement for 2022-23 between British Columbia Transit and the District of Squamish, and that the District of Squamish establish a transit provision. Moved by Councillor Stoner, seconded by Councillor Herford. Any opposed? Motion carries. Under bylaws, tonight we have first 3 readings for the District of Squamish temporary boring bylaw for Public Works Facility, Capital Works Bylaw 2940-2022. And I'll turn it over to our finance team.
D'Souza, and I'm the Director of Financial Operations at the district. I am here to present on the Public Works Temporary Borrowing Bylaw to Council for the first 3 readings. The agenda is quite brief. It's the review of the legislation for the temporary borrowing, and a review of the bylaw. The Community Charter of BC, paragraph 181 states, a council that has adopted a loan authorization bylaw may, by bylaw, temporarily borrow money not exceeding the difference between the total amount authorized by loan authorization and the total amount already borrowed in relation to the bylaw. As background information, the Public Works Facility Loan Authorization Bylaw was adopted by Council in September 2022. Legislatively, the district is required to also adopt a temporary borrowing bylaw if it needs to borrow short-term throughout the project. The rationale behind the temporary borrowing bylaw is during the construction phase of the Public Works facility, the district requires short-term borrowing to fund the construction. After expenditures are incurred, the long-term borrowing is issued and the temporary borrowing is repaid. Temporary borrowing will be issued by the Municipal Finance Authority of BC. Interest is calculated daily, compounded monthly, and collected monthly. The temporary borrowing bylaw that's being presented for first 3 readings is for $20,202,020. At the time of writing the report, the Municipal Finance Authority interest rate was 3.78%, which is an average of $63.6 thousand per month, which equates to $763,000 per year. The recommended resolution is that the District of Squamish temporary borrowing bylaw for Public Works Facility, Capital Works Bylaw number 2940/2022 be given first 3 readings. I'll now turn it over to Council for discussion and questions.
Thank you, Ms. D'Souza. Council, do you have any questions on the temporary borrowing bylaw? Seeing none. And the motion before us is the District of Squamish temporary borrowing bylaw for Public Works, number 2940/2022, be given first 3 readings. Moved by Councillor Race, seconded by Councillor Pettengill. Councillor Race, do you want to speak to that?
Just briefly, thank you, Mayor Elliott. I have to say, actually, my first choice was to fund this out of accumulated surplus. But this does make sense as well. And I think, just so the public is clear, when we authorize borrowing up to $20 million, the operative words there are up to, and this allows us to spend the money that we actually need to construct and then just go into long-term borrowing for the amount that's actually taken up. So I am supporting this.
Thank you. Thank you for not letting Councillor Race access to accumulated surplus. Any other comments? I'm just really pleased to continue to see this project move forward, and this is another step to make sure that this third important facility is well underway before the end of the year. I'll call the question. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. So now we're on to 9B1. We have a number of adoptions, and some of them we have councillors in conflict with, so we'll just give them time to exit the room as we get to each one. So first up is that District of Squamish temporary borrowing bylaw. Oh, we already did that part. Nope, new one. Sorry. The District of Squamish temporary borrowing bylaw for new Fire Hall 2, Capital Works Bylaw 2853/2021 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Stoner, seconded by Councillor French. Any opposed? Motion carries. That District of Squamish temporary borrowing for Pioneer Way Extension R4 Capital Works Bylaw number 2854/2021 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Race, seconded by Councillor Stoner. Any opposed? Motion carries. District of Squamish temporary borrowing for Honeck Park Sea Dyke Upgrade Capital Works Bylaw number 2855/2021 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Race, seconded by Councillor Pettengill. Any opposed? Motion carries. That District of Squamish 2023 permissive tax exemptions for 1 year, bylaw number 2933/2022 be adopted. By Councillor French, seconded by Councillor Herford. Any opposed? Motion carries. District of Squamish 2023 permissive tax exemptions for 5 years, bylaw number 2934, 2022 be adopted by Councillor Herford. I'll second that. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Councillor Race and then Councillor Anderson.
Thank you. And I'm declaring a conflict in the next item, which is the District of Squamish tax exemption for the Squamish Valley Golf and Country Club. I'm a member of the Squash Club, which is part of the same tax-paying entity.
Councillor Anderson?
Mayor Elliott, I would also be declaring a conflict on this item as I'm a member of the Curling Club, and membership fees in the Curling Club can be affected by the outcome for the Squamish Valley Golf Club Umbrella Club. Thank you.
Eric, do you want to declare your other conflict and then we'll leave you out for the next one as well? For the Sea to Sky Forest Center Society.
Yes, for efficiency, I'll declare a conflict also for the next item, the Sea to Sky Forestry Center Society, in which I'm a committee chair, and I would wish to declare a conflict for this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, does someone want to move bylaw 2935, 2022 for the permissive tax exemption for the Squamish Valley Golf and Country Club? Moved by Councillor French, second by Councillor Stoner. Any opposed? Motion carries. Can you get Doug to come back in, Councillor Herford? Just Doug? And then council, someone to move District of Squamish 2023 permissive tax exemption for 5 years for the Sea to Sky Forest Center Society for bylaw number 2939, 2022. Moved by Councillor Pangill, seconded by Councillor Stoner. Any opposed? Motion carries. Armin, if you could get Eric back in, and Councillor Race, if you want to declare your conflict on the next one.
I will. And I'm in conflict with the permissive tax exemption bylaw for West Coast Railway Association. I am a member there, and fees, once again, are subject to fluctuation with taxes.
Okay, we need someone to move District of Squamish 2023 permissive tax exemption for 5 years for the West Coast Railway Heritage Association. This is bylaw 2938, 2022. Moved by Councillor French, second by Councillor Herford. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up are all the bylaws related to our new snow clearing policy. Thank you very much. First up, that the District of Squamish Traffic Bylaw 2220-2012 Amendment Bylaw 2930-2022 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Herford, seconded by Councillor Stoner. Any opposed? Motion carries. The District of Squamish Frontage and Sidewalks Maintenance Bylaw Amendment Bylaw 2931-2022 be adopted. Moved by Councillor French. I'll second that. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. That District of Squamish Bylaw Notice Enforcement Amendment Bylaw 2932-2022 be adopted. By Councillor Stoner, seconded by Councillor Pettengill. Any opposed? Motion carries. District of Squamish Municipal Ticket Information Bylaw Amendment Bylaw for Traffic Bylaw Fines number 2936-2022 be adopted. Moved by Councillor French, seconded by Councillor Anderson. Any opposed? Motion carries. And the District of Squamish Subdivision and Development Control Bylaw Amendment Bylaw for Driveways number 2925-2022 be adopted. By Councillor Stoner, seconded by Councillor French. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up, under 10A1, we have a report from our Economic Development team. Sorry, for a Can Export Community Investments Program Application 2023. And welcome to council chambers for your first time with this council.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jennifer Stone. I'm an Economic Development Specialist with the Economic Development team at the District of Squamish. I'm speaking with you this evening as we are seeking authorisation from Council for the District of Squamish to apply to the CANX Community Investments Program to fund the implementation of the Emerging Sector Roadmap and Action Plan. The 2023 CANX application will request support for the following pieces of work: the development of an investment attraction and succession planning portal to reside on the investsquamish.ca website, funding for lead generation activities through district staff attendance at 4 targeted sector trade shows in 2023, and filming of the ambassador training modules so that they may be accessed on demand. The district has been successful with the last 4 applications to the CANX Community Investments Program. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Stone. Council, do you have any questions on this grant application? Councillor Anderson.
Ms. Stone, in the report to council, on the second page, there is a reference, I'll quote, cite from it. Staff are seeking investment opportunities that can support existing core sectors with new supply chain partners, infrastructure, and support services and capital investment. The phrase I'd like to highlight here is the existing core sectors. Now, in our strategy plans, we have core and enabling sectors as well as new and emerging target sectors. My question is whether the core sectors in the sentence I've just cited from the report might refer generally to any number of these sectors that we see opportunity to apply the work ongoing and the priority area 2 initiatives that we can consider the scope of it generally to include core and enabling sectors in addition to the emerging target sectors.
Through the Mayor. The work, this Emerging Sector Roadmap and Action Plan generally supports the emerging sectors. However, several pieces of work through this particular grant application will support all sectors. In particular, the investment attraction and succession planning tool will not be limited to any particular sectors, and the ambassador training modules will also be relevant to all sectors.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Councillor Stoner.
Thank you. Through the chair, just curious how much we're actually applying for. In your report, it says up to $500,000, but it only covers 50%. So just curious what we're actually asking for and where does the matching fund come from?
Through the Mayor, we're still scoping the work. It's likely that the total project funding will be $75,000. It's a 50-50 portion, and so $37,500 will be through the Economic Development Operational Fund.
All right. I'm not seeing any more questions from council. So the staff recommendation is that council authorize an application to the Can Export Community Investments Program to fund the implementation of the Emerging Sector Roadmap and Action Plan. Moved by Councillor Stoner, seconded by Councillor Anderson. Any further comments? Go ahead, Councillor Stoner.
Yeah, just briefly through the chair, thank you for continuing to explore this grant opportunity. It's been great to see the amount of work that we've been able to do on the implementation of our strategy by leveraging this funding. So thanks for continuing to keep an eye on it and applying time and time again. Hope we're successful.
All right, seeing no other comments, I'll call the question. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, council, we're on to item 11. We have no late agenda items. Nothing under item 12. No correspondence referred from the consent agenda. And under item 14, we need to approve the minutes that were pulled from the consent agenda. Councillor Stoner.
Yeah, I declared a conflict on these because the appointments for the ADP includes one appointee who was part of my campaign team. So I am declaring a conflict of interest on it.
Thank you. So council just need a motion to approve the regular business meetings from October 4th, 2022. Moved by Councillor Race, seconded by Councillor French. Any opposed? Motion carries. Can bring Councillor Stoner back in. Barely got a chocolate. All right, under item 15, any business arising from the minutes? We have nothing under item 16. Any notice of motion, council? It seems a bit late in your term to be doing that. We do not have any in-camera announcements tonight. We already dealt with unscheduled public attendance. Open question period. Points of clarification? Seeing none? All right, since this is our official last meeting of this council, under council or staff announcements, I just wanted to give this council an opportunity to say any last words they want to share with this council. I think fortunately for our community, 5 of you are coming back, which is really great. So I'll start with you, Councillor Anderson, if you have anything you wanted to share this evening.
People will have their views about what this council has or has not delivered or achieved over the past 4 years of our term. And historians in future will have their take, their verdict on what we have achieved or accomplished. But one thing is for certain. Well, I may also add, as Mayor Elliott has referred to, that the recent election process has brought back 5 of us who were reapplying for the job, including the mayor's job, back again. But one thing is for certain is that we have turned up for the job. And I think that our record of attendance, and I include Councillor Stoner, who has had a leave of absence, but nonetheless was there when we needed her, when she felt she needed to be present. And this is something that's unprecedented in my long couple of decades of observation. We have together then I think our record has been of turning up for the job and reading our packages diligently has been noted and appreciated by our staff. And together with staff, we've been a strong administration serving the citizens over the past 4 years. We brought different perspectives, experience, and skills to the table, but we have worked together well. And it has been a great pleasure to work with you, my colleagues, and also with our staff team over the past 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Councillor French.
Thanks, Mayor. And I learned from Terrell Patterson it's always good to have some props. So I've brought a few along. This, for me, these past 4 years have been an amazing experience. And I've been carrying this document around for 4 years. It's the strategic plan for 2019 to 2022. I have a good memory, but it's often a short memory. So I look at it every once in a while just to be reminded of what we're up to, what our priorities are, and what's guiding us. And I was very pleased to receive this document a few weeks ago, which is a summary of how we did against this plan. And it's a bit dry, but I agree with Councillor Anderson. It indicates that we got some stuff done and under challenging and difficult conditions, COVID-19. Thank you very much. So I'm going to start with my fellow first-term council colleagues. It was an honor to go through this term wide-eyed, coming in the early going as Councillor Anderson, Councillor Stoner, Councillor Pettingill, and Mayor-elect Herford. You all have my respect forever. I've enjoyed learning and growing with you through the term. Next, thank you, Chief Administrative Officer Linda Glende. For this elected group, you represent the entire district staff, and in my opinion, you've done it very well. This district was in good hands before this group got in these chairs. It was in good hands during the term, and it will continue to be so in the years ahead. I believe that the District of Squamish has an extraordinarily effective staff team. Councillor Race, you're a leader like no other. A humble mentor, a constructive criticizer, and one who lifts others up with ease. I looked at you as a wise leader from the moment you announced that you'd be seeking a seat on council back in 2008, and I was glad that you made that announcement. And for 4 terms as a councillor and 14 years of service to our community, you're an inspiration. Mayor Elliott, your 8 years and 2 terms as an elected official were a generous gift to our community. I've come to know you first and foremost as considerate and thoughtful. In fact, very considerate and very thoughtful. You created space for me to navigate and learn how to be an LGBTQ advocate for my family. And There's just so much more praise that I could share. This, though, I wanted to focus on because it's more than just me who's thankful for your consideration. My wife and my children are also thankful. So, Your Worship, you have placed the bar high. And for that, Squamish will be thankful because it will benefit this community for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stoner.
I'm happy I'm not all the way at the end of the table. I feel like this is just going to get harder. I didn't have any prepared remarks, but it's been amazing to reflect on what we have been able to achieve in the last 4 years, both as we got, as Councillor French brought up, the strategic plan summary of results was a good kickoff point of really just how far we got on each 4 of those pillars throughout the last 4 years, especially given a global pandemic, the amount of change that happened within our community, within this organization. And I can't thank staff enough for that and for my colleagues around this table. I think it speaks volumes that we were able to create a strategic plan that fit on one page. It helped us focus. It helped us coalesce as a group. And I think one thing that I still feel a little bit saddened by, and it really came out actually during the campaign period, was that more people didn't get the chance to see us work as a team. I think that is one piece that really sticks with me over the last 4 years, is that for 2 of those years, people didn't have easy access to this room. And so although we became way more accessible in a lot of ways, our community didn't have the capacity to engage with us in the same way. And so I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we continue to try and work through as a government, as the district, and as a community. And so one piece that I said time and time again during the election campaign, as people said that there were too many 7-0 votes or there wasn't enough debate around the council table, is that I think we purposefully took a different approach to council chambers in this term and under your leadership, Mayor Elliott. And that was one that was focused on collaborative governance and consensus building. And it was a bit of a different approach, and it was perhaps one that our community wasn't entirely used to. It meant that there was less drama around the table, but it didn't mean that there was any less debate. And I think that that is something that I hope that the 5 of us that will carry on around this table will carry with us. And the 2 new folks who will join us will hopefully live to that bar as well. So thank you for your leadership, for this high bar that you have set for all of us. And Councillor Race, I still remember during the 2018 election campaign sitting down with you, you sharing some hashtag elder wisdom back then and throughout the 4 years on this term. But most importantly, you did it with confidence and ease, and you always left a chair open next to you if we did have questions, and that's something that I will forever be grateful for. I've learned a lot from you over these last 4 years. So thank you for sharing the history, the context, and I just wish I had extracted more from you over the last 4 years if I knew that you weren't going to be running again. But it's been a real pleasure to serve with you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councillor Stoner. Councillor Pangil still typing. You ready? Go ahead.
Yeah, just trying to get a few notes down. So I do want to thank everyone that ran and got engaged in the election. And so I've thanked, it's worth thanking those people again, because it is a lot of effort, and the staff who ran the election. And so it's such an important process and a time for us to come together as a community and have some of the discussions we don't have throughout the term. So that was great. But in terms of our last term, I spent a fair bit of time at council meetings, reading agendas or the parts that interested me before I got on council. I was still quite surprised, though, how much my perspective changed once I got onto council, once I couldn't pick and choose which items. And so I'm very thankful to have been on a council where everyone read every little bit of the agenda and came prepared and actually understood the whole community. It really gives you a different perspective when you understand how different the perspectives in our community are. We don't all work from the same philosophy, but we worked really well as a team. And there's a lot of support for each other, even when we wanted different outcomes, and I really appreciated that. Coming on to council, I kind of thought I'd be butting heads with Councillor Race a fair bit. And we didn't always agree, but we ended up agreeing a whole lot more than I thought. And you always brought kindness and support to myself and everyone else on council, and I really appreciate that. I want to thank Mayor Elliott for your leadership. Call out three things in particular. It's been really frustrating, I think, for a lot of people to see the dishonest and disingenuous attack ads over the past year. But on the other hand, quite inspiring to see how hard you worked for our community regardless. You didn't let any of that nonsense distract you from serving our community and setting an incredibly high bar. I think everyone on this council is quite stubborn, but no matter your own perspective, you always made sure that each one of us had a voice and we knew how we could use it. If you saw us getting, stuck or frustrated, you'd call us aside and tell us how we could put forward a motion or do something to have our voice heard. And, reflecting to the number of ministers that I heard say how disappointed they were that you weren't running again, the impact you've had provincially on making ministers understand what Squamish needs and getting them to agree to what we need has been just incredible. And so, yeah, it's been fantastic to work on this council with you. Want to thank staff for working so hard, especially through a global pandemic. My sense of time is still quite off because it's been such a crazy 4 years. And coming into this election, it was a bit hard to know how things were going to turn out. You get in Facebook land and it was depressing and everyone was angry and it just seemed we could do no right. But when you went out in the public, it was the complete opposite. People were, for the most part, really happy and supportive and excited about Squamish and everything that is coming. And so I didn't know how this election was going to turn out. And I'm feeling quite relieved. I haven't fully come down yet, but I think from my perspective, it shows that what I saw in the real world is the real world, and I think much of Squamish understands. There's still things to improve, and we've learned some things during the campaign, but I think much of Squamish has appreciated what this staff and this council has done. So. Very happy to be moving forward with our staff and Armand and Jenna, John, Eric, and now Lauren and Andrew. And very sorry to be losing Doug and Karen, but yeah, very much looking forward to the next term. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Councillor Pettengill. Councillor Herford.
Thank you. And Councillor Stoner was right. Down at this end of the table, it just gets harder and harder to come at this with a fresh lens. I'm glad to have more than 45 seconds to respond to this. And yeah, so the last 4 years have been incredibly impactful and on me, and it's through the leadership of Mayor Elliott that really started off from the beginning with the patience and the kindness of bringing on 5 new counselors, and through that process, really taking the time to make sure that each and every new counselor understood what was happening and the procedures and where we had direct control, where we didn't, all that stuff to get us up to speed and functioning, which just makes so much sense, but I know is exceptional, and I really truly appreciate that, and really your leadership and mentorship over the last 4 years has just been instrumental. Squamish is is a much better place because of your efforts over the last 8 years, and your leadership will be missed truly. I'm gonna try not to mess it up as I feel as I assume the seat there. And Councillor Race, I also was at that meeting. Councillor Stoner and I were candidates running for a seat, and I distinctly remember, like we had some questions, but also the question was, what do we need to know? And Councillor Race didn't launch into any campaigning advice, which is kind of where I thought we were going. We're in the midst of a campaign. Budgeting. This is how this works. Accumulated surplus. This is how this works. And little did I know that was he knew I guess what we didn't, which was that we were going to be in this room together. And I've really enjoyed my time in working with you. It's been great, and you will be getting some phone calls along the way, so don't worry. I'll leave it there. Just thank you so much to the whole team. It's been great working with you the last 4 years, and we look forward to another 4 together, and hopefully we can be as effective a team. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Herford. Councillor Race.
Thank you. It is normally by the time you get to the almost last speaker, they sort of lead off with, well, I agree with everything my fellow councillors said, and stop there. And and I think I was doing fine until Councillor Pettengill said that we started agreeing on a whole bunch of things, and now I'm sitting here wondering where did I lose my way? I just but it has been interesting, and coincidentally, the last meeting we had last week, which was my last meeting to chair, we had a number of reports that for some reason took me back to my first term on council in different ways, and one of them was on waste management. And I just remember, and I keep telling people about my very first council meeting, the entire topic that evening was garbage. We were talking about garbage trucks, we were talking about garbage containers, and we were talking about the landfill. And that was pretty well it. And you sort of think, well, gee, this is interesting. But the other thing it brings me back to is, it's on a personal level, I still sometimes just sort of wake up and thinking, how did I ever get here? And it's remarkable for me on a personal level because I spent most of my life absolutely convinced I would never have my first term on council. It just wasn't my thing. And I think I've said that to some of you before. But you did get drawn into it. And I won't go into all the details, but the first half of this, or first half dozen years of this century, this town was consumed by 2 debates over the oceanfront. And I got involved in that. And that was one of my first times I've ever really sort of been part of a charge on some municipal issue. And so when Greg Gardner was running for mayor in 2008, he and I were good friends and fellow Rotarians. And coincidentally, I was just retiring from the practice of law. I'd given my notice about 1.5 years ahead of time. And he suggested I run for council. And I've always told him since then that one day I'll forgive you for this. And maybe now the healing can start. But the reality is that one of the things he told me is it's quite fulfilling. And he was absolutely right about that. It has been very fulfilling for me. It's been a great honor for me to serve my community this way. And also I've been grateful for the support I've received from my community to put me in this office for the last years. So I want to thank the town of Squamish for that, the district of Squamish for that. One of the other good parts of this job for me has been working with our staff over the years and at all levels of the community. And I can say without reservation, I think this community is very well served by the staff it has at City Hall from Linda on down the ladder. And now one of the things, of course, leaving is I don't have to call her boss anymore, which has sort of been the way it has been. But it has been a great pleasure. And I think our community is very well served by the staff that we have in our community. I want to wish the incoming council, and there's 2 councillors elect who are not here, maybe listening online, the very best in the upcoming term. Mayor-elect Herford and councillors continuing. We did, as some councillors have mentioned, go through a lot of for lack of a better word, I'm going to use garbage in the last term that came from social media. It's easy for me because I never go on social media, so I was blissfully ignorant throughout that whole time and thinking I was just fine. But I know it does affect people. It does affect families. But I think, you know, the community is not as dumb as some people think they are. And I think the measurement of that is what happened in the election last weekend. They got it right. And so I think we can take some happiness with that. I'd also like to thank this council, and I've told a lot of people that I thought, you know, over the years I've served on regional district boards and 4 different councils, and I can say that this has been one of the best. And other councillors have noted accomplishments and so forth, but I think what made it great for me was we had people who came and served in this room and brought a great deal of personal integrity, a great deal of intelligence, a great deal of consideration of the issues, a great deal of consideration of different viewpoints in the community. And I think that made it actually a wonderful council. And Mayor Elliott, I thought you did a great job. So I'll leave it there. So Harley, this is the moment where you fade to black.
No, you're still not in charge. Doug, council wanted to recognize your contributions over the last 4 years. And in the 3 days I had to decide whether I was running for mayor in 2018, you were the first person I called. And I said, are you running? Because I can't do this without you. And I couldn't have. I had 5 newbies and we had to bring them along. So it was so important for you to run in 2018, and your contributions were invaluable. And I think you heard that tonight from your colleagues. Certainly in my first term, you set the bar for what a good counselor looks like, sounds like, does, is prepared. You set that bar for me, which made it very easy for me to introduce this council to what the expectations are and should be for any council serving this community now. The issues are complex and we need smart, serious people to show up. And you had a huge part in bringing this council along and bringing them up to speed. And so I wanted to give you a gift that would help you ease into your retirement from office. Better. And I hope I get an invite to share it with you. CAO Glende?
Thank you, Mayor Elliott. On behalf of staff at the District of Squamish, I want to say thanks to everyone on council for working with us over the last 4 years. It's true, you have set the bar high. I hope the 2 new councillors are aware that, yes, they have to read everything that we put in front of you. And also appreciate your raising the bar. I continue to get calls from CAOs across the province wanting to know how we got a code of conduct into that is as progressive and comprehensive as the one that we have. So we feel that you have put us in good stead going forward. And we too are proud of that strategic plan and proud to have worked with you to accomplish everything in there as a team. Normally, we don't give outgoing counselors gifts, but in this case, we felt it was important given the length of service, Councillor Race, that you've dedicated to this community. 4 terms and 14 years is a very long time. I'll be sad that you won't feel the need to call me boss anymore, but I still hope to call you and take advantage of that wisdom and just talk skiing and boating and all the rest of it. On behalf of the District of Squamish, you will definitely be missed, and we're extraordinarily grateful for your contribution to us as staff, to this council, and to this community. So the staff also got you a small gift. It actually partners well with Mayor Elliott's gift, and we hope that you're able to use it on your boat. That's You're welcome. The Squamish bag. No, you're not getting a car or a fire truck. And Mayor Elliott, if I might, before you say your few words, there is a tradition of gifting the outgoing mayor with the gavel. So I have that here for you. And if memory serves, I don't think you ever actually used it. I think the only person that did was the student mayor for a day, which speaks to your leadership and your ability to lead this council and lead this community without needing to use a true weapon. So I will be presenting that to you in just a moment, as well as another gift from the organization in the District of Squamish to say thank you for your contribution over the last 8 years and your leadership as mayor over the last 4.
I might try using the gavel at home. I'm going to say a last few words. But if anybody's going to then try and get the last word, I'll be cross. So does anybody need to have anything else to say? All right. I'm super glad that my family's here. Thank you for being part of our audience tonight. It's hard to believe that 8 years have gone by. I kind of practiced this a few times, but whew. All right. There have been many highs and lows over the last 2 terms, but I am deeply grateful to this community for providing me with the opportunity to make a contribution. I had only lived in Squamish for 18 months when my neighbors started putting consistent pressure on me to consider a run for council. And so I watched the list of nominees grow. There were only a couple women on the list. I was thinking about climate change. It was weighing on my mind. I had 2 young daughters at home. And while I'd only lived here for 18 months, I had fallen in love with Squamish, and I knew it was facing so many different pressures. So I figured, what have I got to lose? And truly, I've only gained over the last 8 years. Experience, knowledge, leadership, understanding, and gratitude. So most people don't know this, but there were 2 quotes taped to my monitor over the last 4 years. And they're both from Brene Brown. And the first one says, vulnerability is not knowing victory or defeat. It's understanding the necessity of both. It's engaging, and it's being all in. I can honestly say that I've been all in for 8 years, and I am leaving with nothing left on the table. I am walking away with a lot of pride and satisfaction with what I helped to accomplish with the last two councils, and many of you were very humble, but there are over 800 new units of affordable or purpose-built rental occupied or being built right now. We have a provincially admired climate action plan and a municipal energy and emissions plan. We have facilities being replaced, and it is no small feat to get 3 big projects funded and underway during a pandemic and within 4 years. We have a future-focused and data-driven economic development strategy. We created transit expansion despite having the longest strike in BC history. And we see active transportation improvements, especially around our schools, which was so important to me. So I can see the decisions I contributed to over the last 8 years really taking shape. And those are big and visible pieces of our work, but there are some unseen but important pieces of policy that for me leave an important legacy for this community. Introducing the maternity and parental leave policy because I wanted to see younger people and especially women in politics. Developing new partnership agreements or strengthening our existing ones with groups like Squamish Arts or Arts Squamish, Squamish Arts, the Squamish Community Foundation, SORCA, Squamish Can, and the Food Policy Council, because I think putting resources with the experts who can turn that money and deliver critical services and amenities and turn our investment into more dollars and more impact. I think it's really important that not everything should be done from City Hall. Working with staff to finish the budget process by December 31st so that we can engage in more competitive procurement and have actually 12 months to deliver on our goals that we set. Supporting a social procurement policy to bring fiscal, social, and environmental value to our community with the dollars that we spend. And in line with that, I got to co-chair the BC Social Procurement Initiative over the last year and a bit and help spread that work across the province. I think one of the hardest pieces that I'll let go of is working with staff and community partners to bring about the first 2 cohorts of the Youth Council, and I'm envious of whichever council members step up to take on that work. Staff mentioned our code of conduct review. The code and the related policies we adopted this summer makes it the strongest in the province, and I hope my colleagues and those joining them at this table work to keep that bar high. Working with our CAO to introduce the first decolonization training for our staff and watching staff and council build on that work in the spirit of reconciliation and the principles of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. I believe this culture change is now embedded in the DNA of our organization. And I know our staff will continue to find ways to rethink our ways of knowing and being and working. I've been so fortunate over the last 8 years to have generous teachers and role models in the Squamish Nation elders, but also leaders like Josh Joseph, Chris Lewis, Joyce Williams, Deanna Lewis, Salem, Jesse Williams, Michelle Nahaney, and Ginger Gosnell-Myers, and many others. I ran for mayor on the promise to bring thoughtful, collaborative, strategic, and calm leadership to the job. And I believe I did that. And those skills have served me well as we responded to the pandemic, of course, and ongoing growth pressures, 2 destructive acts at the gondola, fires, atmospheric rivers, heat domes, the record-breaking transit strike, and a role in which no 2 weeks are the same, which you'll find out, Councillor Herford. And that brings me to the second quote that has been hanging on my monitor, and it says, "No matter what gets done or how much is left undone, I am enough." So whether I did 1 term, 2 terms, or 4 terms, and I know that Doug can attest to this, the work would never be done. And so it's so important in a political role to remember that you are not the title or the role or the work. You're already way more than that. So my work to be a good human, a spouse, a good mother, daughter, sister, friend, and an ally is far more important to me. And I hope all of my colleagues who are continuing will remember to focus on these fundamental pieces of who you are when the going gets tough. My family is here tonight, my husband Sean and both my daughters, my father-in-law Paul, and possibly my mom and dad online, although they might have been busy and so they'll catch it later. Can't thank them enough for all their support over the last 8 years, although my mom seriously questioned my sanity when I told her what I was going to do. But I couldn't have done it without them. The hugs, the phone calls, the texts, the cards, it just kept my motivation high. I can't tell you how many Tuesday nights I received texts from my kids saying goodnight, and it was just a beautiful piece of reality into those evenings. And I'd just like to say, in a world where women are still seeking equity, I want to thank Sean for truly carrying 50% of the responsibility and load on the home front these last 4 years, and 100% of the coffee making. He dedicated so much time to our families so that I could dedicate so much time to my role. Okay, I also want to thank my wonderful friends who just let me be me whenever we were together, not the mayor. That was a gift. I want to thank the incredible leaders we have across this community. They're leading our nonprofit societies, our youth sports, our outdoor pursuits organizations, trail groups, the chamber, the downtown BIA. It takes all of us to make sure this community thrives, and we are all better for their efforts and their leadership during the last 4 years through some really tricky times. Okay, my council colleagues, in my inaugural address, this is what I said. We have much to accomplish over the next 4 years. It begins tonight and it won't let up until the next council is sworn in 4 years from now. So yes, I went on to say we undoubtedly have challenges in affordable housing, civic infrastructure, developing more family supporting jobs locally, and doing our part to rein in climate change and protect the natural environment. But with focus, dedication, and an unfailing commitment to finding a way forward, we will make progress. I think we did just that. It makes me smile to think that I still made you work tonight to adopt a few last things and get a grant application underway and a short-term borrowing bylaw. It didn't matter what the universe threw your way. You showed up, you had read your agendas, you asked great questions, you dug deep, and you were courageous when you needed to be, and you listened and adapted when you thought it was necessary. I can't tell you how much I appreciated your work in council chambers. We accomplished so much. But I have to say, if I have left you with any leadership legacy, I hope it is this. Good strategic plans fit on one page. Always respect your staff and have their back. Exercise your curiosity before your judgment, and debate the policy, not the person. I know you will all do good things for 4 years. And finally, our staff. I know some of them aren't here and won't hear this, but I still am taking the opportunity to say it. So, Sharon Gilroy at reception. I was touring kids the other week on a tour of City Hall, and I said that we searched all of Squamish to find the nicest person who could work at reception, and we found Sharon. And that is so true, and it's not an exaggeration. And she made me feel so welcome right from day one, and does that to every person who walks through the door. Terry Murray and Jeremy Valeriot, who both kept me heading in the right direction, fielded many a phone call when I wasn't available, and some of them were not easy. They were understanding when I dropped the ball, and they both understood that I was more than a mayor, and that made a world of difference. Okay, Harley Paul in our sound room. It seems a small thing to smile and give me a thumbs up, but you set the tone with every meeting. Karen Runzer in IT, who was my Mac troubleshooter. I'm really sorry that she had a Luddite for a mayor, but I so enjoyed our conversations and laughs while she fixed my IT-related mishaps. I will not miss getting phone calls from Christina on a Friday afternoon. Why always a Friday? About something that's gone wrong, or emails from Rachel at 5 o'clock looking for immediate response. But I will miss their incredible calm, professionalism, and support. And I will also miss listening to the amazing creativity of that team that happened just outside my door. Our legislative services team, thank you for all the work and effort that goes into making council run smoothly. Honestly, people don't understand. Your efforts during the pandemic to keep our meetings accessible and open was incredible. And thank you for supporting our busy agenda over the last 4 years. We couldn't have done it without you. Our senior leaders, directors, and managers, what an amazing opportunity I had to work and learn from so many outstanding leaders. You're also all amazing professionals. Leaving the job means leaving my day-to-day interactions with all of you, and that's incredibly hard. You took a newbie 8 years ago who didn't know the first thing about how a city works, and you taught me a thing or two. You answered all my questions. You provided strategic context and advice and delivered outstanding work to help our council make meaningful progress over the last 4 years. And from the CAO all the way across the organization to our frontline staff, I have bragged about you all nonstop for 8 years. This community benefits from the skill, dedication, experience, and community spirit of our staff. And make no mistake, they are one of the best teams in the province. Our community and this next council should never take that for granted. It's just amazing. So finally, Linda, our CAO, I'm so sorry I couldn't stay. My personal and professional goals are pulling me in new directions, but I was honored to serve as mayor during your tenure as CAO. I deeply appreciate your calm, your incredible leadership skills, your tactful and honest feedback, and your deep commitment to the team here at the district and helping council get the most out of their 4 years. I look forward to more conversations with you, but in a new context. It's been an incredible journey. It's been such a privilege to serve as mayor, and I thank you all. Okay, no, you can't clap. It's council chambers. We have rules. Oh, sorry, that was a bit messy. I tried so hard at home to practice that. But because I don't want any of you to forget about me, I had one of our local potters make a custom mug with our Squamish colors. It's blue on the inside. It's got a splash of red, some black. And I asked her to put the black bar at the top as a reminder to keep the bar high. So you're each getting one, and it says thank you with our council dates. And there's one here for Linda, and it says to a great leader, 2018 to 2020. So I'll hand those out afterwards, but you can bring these to whatever meeting. Doug, you can enjoy it at home. It's been such a privilege serving with all of you, and I wish you and the 2 new councillors nothing but the best over the next 4 years. And I know you'll do such a good job and represent our community incredibly well. So thank you for that. And then, believe it or not, we have a bit of closed business to finish up. So motion to close. Moved by Councillor Stoner, seconded by Councillor Herford. Thank you everyone for coming to the open portion of our meeting, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the Copper Coil in a few minutes.